Like Nicholas Winding Refn once said, if you want a good ghost story, leave it to the Japanese. What's going on, guys? Welcome to 31 Days of Horror. I am Morgan Film Fan. Let's jump into some scares. Kuroneko is a Japanese film by the director Kaneto Shindo, which I reviewed his film on day 10, Onibaba, and I decided to get this one as well from the Criterion Collection. The Criterion Collection is amazing, and I love my Japanese cinema, especially my Japanese horror. So this director is my first time watch Onibaba in this film. I've never seen any of his stuff prior, and I've never heard of him either. But this is another typical Japanese ghost story. Kuroneko means black cat, and it's pretty spooky. It's definitely more confusing than Onibaba. I had a little bit of a harder time understanding everything that was going on and putting some stuff together, especially with some things that didn't really make much sense to me in what was like happening. Like, I didn't understand how people like didn't recognize other people and stuff like that. But regardless, getting into the plot, we start off with these two women in this house and in this kind of hut kind of thing, and the samurai come along and basically force themselves in, eat their food, rape the women, light the house on fire, and then peace the fuck out. And then we flash forward 3 years later, or it doesn't really flash forward, but it's said during the movie that the events are 3 years later after this incident. So what happens is there's this black cat that's kind of roaming, and there's this samurai that we're introduced to. His name is Hashi, I think, and then he's given a samurai name called Gintoki. So Hashi is basically fighting this samurai in this field, and he's able to cut off his head, and then he brings it to the emperor at Rajomon Gate and brings the head, and then earns his honor as a samurai, basically. And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but basically that's how the main story starts off. Before that, we're also introduced to these two women, the same women from the beginning of the film, hint, hint. And these women lure samurai into their home and then basically murder the samurai. So they have this huge vengeance on samurai because they were murdered by samurai. So any samurai they come across, they bring home. The mother does this ritual dance thing, and then the girl basically bites the samurai's neck, and they're kind of like cat-like. They're ghost/cat incarnations kind of thing. There's a lot of, obviously, Japanese lore going on in this film. But going back to Gintoki, he's met by this woman, and she tries to lure him to the house, and she does. And then he recognizes them right away. He recognizes them as his mother and his wife. But he says, like, you look exactly like them, like, spitting image. He doesn't necessarily clue in that it's them, because I don't know why, because I don't know how you forget your wife and mother 3 years later. So that part, like I said, I couldn't see how he couldn't know it was them. But regardless, they're basically haunting the village, and the emperor is basically losing samurai to this monster or ghost or presence or whatever. So he gives Gintoki, being this newly honored samurai, the mission to go destroy this monster, quote unquote, which is his wife and mother. So now he's put in this dilemma where he doesn't know what to do. And the wife, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think he pronounced it Shije, Shije, I think, or something. I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's something like that. Shije. She's also in a dilemma because she recognizes him and is still in love with him clearly, but when these two women died, they made a vow. They made a vow to a god to basically drink the blood of every samurai left in Japan, which now includes her late husband, or not late husband, but her ex, whatever you want to call it, her husband, and she's in that dilemma too. Excuse me. So she willingly, during the movie, asks for 7 days to basically be with her husband again before descending into hell, because she's breaking her vow of not destroying, because she's supposed to kill this samurai, every samurai basically, but she doesn't want to kill Gintoki because it's her husband. So both are in that dilemma, and the film plays out from there. So the cinematography is absolutely outstanding. It's like a 10 out of 10. I mean, the fog and the lighting is gorgeous. The scenes are just uncomparable to anything else. Like, the aesthetic of, black and white 1960s Japan. I mean, the last scene, it's a snowy scene. Oh my gosh, it made me melt. So good. I mean, there's shots where just it'll light and then it'll show a woman like in a white dress just walking forward, and the sword fights. There's a lot of floating. Japanese love the floating, but the women are spirits anyway, so it makes sense that they would be floating. I like when they're having tea or sake or whatever they're having. There's times where you'll see the woman's hair kind of do a cat's tail thing. So there's subtle things like that, and she'll pour the tea, and then her hand will turn into a cat's paw. The climax of the film is actually a battle between Gintoki and his mother, Yone, and he gets the opportunity to slice off her hand, and it turns into a cat's paw, and he brings this back as evidence that he destroyed the monster. So he brings it to the emperor, and he wants to make the emperor think that he killed the monster by showing him the hand, even though he doesn't want to kill his mother. So that's how he tries to redeem himself, kind of thing, save himself, while at the same time letting his mother live. Because otherwise, if he didn't kill this monster, the emperor would kill him. And then there's this battle between the mother actually tricks him, and she pretends to be this other spirit. Again, I don't know how he didn't recognize her voice and her face and everything when she comes in. She asks to see the cat's paw, and then she basically reveals herself to be his mother. She's like, oh, psych, and then she takes the cat's paw, and then they start fighting, and it's this great fight where she's pouncing everywhere and kind of acting ghost-like / cat-like, and it's really, really great aesthetic. Kaneto Shindo definitely has a vision for cinematography and ghost stories. I mean, he really knows how to put one together. And between Onibaba and Kuroneko, I'm going to say that I don't know which one I like better, because there's things that I love about Onibaba more, and then there's things that I love about Kuroneko more. Which sounds kind of cliche, but honestly, it's true. I mean, I liked the cinematography in this one more, probably. But I think the story in Onibaba was just a lot easier to follow. This one was a lot more convoluted, and definitely needs a lot more rewatches for me to fully grasp and understand and follow everything that's going on. I really like the first battle when we're introduced to Gintoki, when his name is still Hachi, fighting in this field where he chops this guy's head off. He's filthy dirty, so he looks nothing like he does later on in the movie, and his hair is all wild and everything, but the fight is really good. And then when he brings the head back, he just puts it up, and the head looks really good. It's it's a really good design the way they design the head. It looks like an actual chopped head. It's really creepy looking, really creepy looking. But yeah, great ghost story. It actually reminds me of another film in the Criterion Collection, an American movie called The Black Cat. Totally different stories, but when it comes to like, or sorry, it's not called the Black Cat. What am I fucking saying? It's called The Cat People. Sorry, got confused. Cat People, also from the Criterion Collection, also black and white, also about a hybrid human cat thing. So I definitely got some of those vibes in this film. But good movie. I recommend Kuroneko if you like Japanese cinema, if you like black and white. This is 1968. So yeah, 1968. So know what you're getting into, and if it's your thing, check it out. If not, don't. But subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you'd like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for that. Check out what's on the channel already, and until next review, take care and cheers.